Okay, and Shelley is going to present for the mayor and council budget.
Best part of the budget, right? And it's all in the small book. And it starts on page 5. And these are the goals for the mayor and council's budget, the major goals. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to look through those. But the major focuses are on homelessness, community building activities, the partnership with the Muckleshoot Indian Tribe, the 10-year economic strategic plan, the Auburn Way South study. I'm just kind of reading these off as I'm going down. I turned over to page 6 now. Regional Affordable Housing Coalition, maintain memberships and NLC, as a mayor's Puget Sound Regional, DFC, Sound Cities, increase transparency in government, support the local businesses, junior council, and the Blue Ribbon Committee.
Councilmember Troutman.
Yeah, see, this is probably to you. We haven't heard anything. We haven't heard hardly anything about the junior council since we've had a new deputy mayor. What is going on with that, and who's running it?
So there was, I believe, information provided to you about the deputy mayor is involved, but it's summertime, so there have been no meetings. And we've had administration help with the organization and with the structure of those meetings.
Okay. So what does it look like for in the future? What exactly are they doing?
So
Because I don't recall, I recall a small piece of someone taking it over, but I haven't heard, before school was out, what was going on with them. And we've got, how much money goes into them? 10,000 or something like that?
So a portion of that is for travel, as you have desired in the past. Council has desired that they travel to the NLC meetings. That is where a majority of their budget would be spent. But the goal for the Junior City Council now is to do exactly what was approved by the council when the Junior Council was created, is to advise the council on issues from a youth perspective. And so that is how it will be moving forward. There will have to be some new members this year because there were some graduates. But the deputy mayor continues to be involved and to be a facilitator with those
Because
meetings.
I know that Mr. Peloso would probably have said something about this too, because him and I have talked about it. What is the junior council doing? We should have them come to one of our study sessions and talk to us of what they're looking to do, and advise the council where we should go, So, yeah, that's why I was just curious on that.
We'll be happy to do that once we get them reappointed and up to speed, because one of the chairs graduated and is no longer eligible to be on the Junior City Council, and so there will have to be some realignment this fall after the schools are back in session and we get applicants for those schools where we need applicants.
Okay,
so, yeah,
thank you.
There will definitely be a presentation for you.
That answers my question.
Deputy Mayor Maggie.
Yeah, I think we've really been working really close with the junior council, and one of the problems we've had would be some of the recruiting, and also we've held several meetings, and unfortunately we haven't had a good attendance. So I think what we're really trying to do is energize the council, recruit additional young people to the council, and also to encourage them to attend the meetings. And I think what we, as a council, want to see is giving them more responsibility for activating basic looking at some of our policies, looking at some of the things that the council does, and then come back to the council with their recommendations. So we want to energize that group, but it's been a little difficult, like the mayor said, because of the graduations and some of the summertime activities. But we are in hopes of having that improve here in the next few months.
Thank you.
And it's, the mayor and council budget is pretty much the same as it has been. Was noted in the administrative budget. We've added the community health care consultant into the administrative budget. It was in the mayor's budget previous years, so there is a reduction in that cost that you'll see in the mayor council budget.
Councilmember Wales?
Thank you. Is there a portion of a clerk that supports that position, or?
No. In the mayor council budget, what is charged in the salary and benefits there are the council's administrative support, the mayor's administrative support, 7 council members, and the mayor.
Councilmember West?
Because we used to have 2 administrative assistants up there, and then I thought we added a portion of a third to support the blue ribbon.
We did, and they are charged the administrative budget, not council mayor budget.
Okay. And so what is that portion of that third individual totally supporting the blue ribbon, or is that a
No, it's an alignment throughout the administration department for support, for economic development, for
great.
emergency management,
Okay.
facilities, multimedia, it's all of them.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember DeCoursey first, and then
So on page 10, Shelley, with the NLC conference for junior council members in 2018, $11,000 there. Page 10,
Under which,
under the 2018 line item 7 for the NLC for junior council members, where does that money go to in 2019, 2020?
it is on page, I just marked it
it's
here.
under mayor.
It's on page 13, under travel.
Okay.
And there's $13,000 for 4 council members,
Okay,
junior
yeah.
council, and 1
All
chaperone.
right, thank you.
Councilmember West.
So you probably have to restate this again for me because I'm new. But the blue ribbon was moved from the mayor's budget to administration's.
Correct.
Why?
To better align it under administration.
Okay. Okay. Does that person,
Yes.
does that person reports to Dana?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Trot-Manuel.
On page 10, down at miscellaneous, how many of our staff and council do we pay for their membership on different clubs? There's $900 there.
Reduced or Optimus Lions School and its Rotary. We would have to gather that information. That's a budget number, and I'd have to go and see
Okay.
who that is.
Very interesting. Thank you.
We can get that information.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? So that is the end of all of the departments providing their budget information. We definitely have additional time available if there are questions or comments that you would like to make, because our directors are here. Any questions that you didn't get asked before, any comments you'd like to make? Councilmember Trot-Manuel.
Darrow, that fallen down building, is that on the budget coming in?
Isaac Evans? Yeah, it's actually was never budgeted as an insurance claim because it was an accident.
Okay.
And it's we're getting our bids on it right now. We've received 2 or 3. The climate for bidding is not very good for that size of project, but it'll definitely be done towards the end of this year, beginning of next year, before next picnic season.
Thank you. I've been getting a lot of ask.
Yeah,
When's
and
that
it's
gonna
always a
be
popular
done?
summer site, so it's super disappointing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions? Comments? Things that you didn't hear about that you thought you would hear about? Things you heard about that might, yes?
Shelley, that new system's going to help you as well, too, because I always see you all bundled up.
Oh, not today, though.
No? No, that's it.
Okay, so you've probably seen in your agendas that are sent out by the clerk's office that we do have in the next few months the public hearings for the budget, and then before year end you will have the budget approval process.
Let's go back to the calendar. We have the first page. I think we have the calendar on. It's also, oh, there we go. Okay, here we are, August 28th, workshop number 4. We've been through those departments. The public hearings, you can see, are scheduled for in October, November, and December. December 3rd is when we would like to bring this for adoption to the council. And we'll be doing the property tax levy in November. We'll bring that to a study session in November, and the second council meeting in November is due to the county by December 1st. And as a reminder, we will have our final state new construction number. So we generally put in a little bit of allowance into that because we're not sure what that number is going to be. We want to make sure that we capture all that new construction on our levy. And we are also, this is kind of going away from the 19 and 20 budget, but we're also start discussing the final budget amendment of this 2017-18 budget. We'll discuss that in November at a study session and bring that forward also on December 3rd. We hold that till as late as we can in the year to make sure that there's any stragglers we can capture. Are there any questions on this process here forward until what we're going to be doing before you have questions? This staff, and there's 2 more in addition to the 2 you see sitting here, Frank and Bob, but there's Consuelo and Tamara, and between now and about mid-October, you're going to see smoke coming out of their areas. We get the final draft budget put together, which won't have all these detailed line items in that we've gone through here, but it's going to be a lot of information. It's going to be our budget summary, some graphs and some charts. We hope we're slowly changing the budget document, hopefully to make it more user-friendly, using more tables and not so much reading, and more graphs or schedules to communicate the information in more of a summary information type of format. Isn't that right? Yeah. So it won't be everything we hope it will be in the end, but as we continue to modify it, we'll get there over some budget cycles.
Deputy Mayor Baggett?
First and foremost, I want to compliment the directors and all their staff and putting together these budgets, because I think they've really gone to the mat here, and I'm kind of proud of them. So I want to express that. And keep the oxygen tanks ready for your staff over there, because I think they're going to need it.
Councilmember Brown?
I would, echo what Deputy Mayor Baggett said with respect. I mean, just super organized and even for me, comprehensible. But I'm curious from the mayor, I've not been through this budget process before, looking at the October 15th, November 5th, and of course final approval potentially on the 3rd, I hope. Could you characterize the public participation in this? I mean, what's historically been there?
So historically, there hasn't been a lot of public comment. Sometimes some of the nonprofits or some of the businesses that have interest in this budget, like with the BIA or some of those businesses or nonprofits encouraging general fund dollars for human services, they might come in and provide comment during the budget hearings, but there has historically not been a great deal of public participation, even though we offer that. It's similar to most of our public hearings. You're not going to hear a great deal from the public on them. Councilmember
Do you have
Kaufman?
one for Dana? On our, when do you mail out for the nonprofit organizations when they're supposed to apply for their grants? When do we do that?
That happens 6 weeks before the grant opens.
When's that?
I believe the grant opened in April of this year, so moving back from that date.
So then some organizations have already been told they're not going to get funding?
No, the committee is still in the review process of
Okay.
the applications.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Holman?
Shelley, your new roll-up consolidated budget, is that going to have an online presence?
Oh, yes. We'll put the draft budget out there. All these have been out online as the meeting minutes. We will, as soon as the draft budget is printed and presented to council and the mayor, we will put it out online. And that's what will go forward for December 3rd consideration. You know, there's things that may happen that we know about between now and then, and if we have any amendments or changes that we think that we need to include or add, we will then, when we come bring this forward in November, we will let you know if there's some things that have changed and what our recommendations are on that. The final budget, very final budget document will be done about mid-February. So after the budget's adopted, then we make any changes that we have to, and we submit it to Government Finance Officers Association for budget review and award.
Yes.
And then a follow-on, will there be an executive summary to these 700-800 pages?
Sure.
So that the public has a general idea, kind of a,
We can do something like that.
I'm not necessarily requesting it, it just.
Well, we've been talking about a budget in brief, and that is generally like one page with printing on both sides.
Executive summary, just to reassure people that their dollars are being well spent, and where to look if they want more depth.
Yeah, we're looking at doing something like
So, Councilmember DeCoursey.
I don't recall. We had a discussion regarding the revenue sources on this, so when would we plan on meeting for discussion?
So revenue sources, we will have those in the fall. It doesn't necessarily have impact on the budget for 2018, 2019, because any new revenue sources would probably take a year to two to implement. So the real impact is going to be on your next biennial budget. And so having those conversations sooner rather than later, I think is important, but there is not a set specific, we have to have the discussions by this point in time.
We are follow up on the mayor's comment. We want to get through the budget, and so we're looking at right after the first of the year. Is what on our work timeline. So we're planning on coming forward to that.
Okay. Anything else? So a huge thank you, as Deputy Mayor Baggett and Councilmember Brown said, to all of the directors and to their teams. This is not an easy process to go through. The process started when, Shelley, in February, March timeframe, where all of the departments gathered the needs for all of their programs and identified areas that could be reduced if possible. It's a pretty flat budget. You know, there's not a great deal of anything new in the budget. Things have been repurposed. Dollars have, and only the greatest of needs are being added to the budget, as you see through the program improvements. And during the process, prior to council receiving your binders, there were probably 20 hours that the directors and I went through to ensure that everything was balanced, that the priorities of the cities, not just the priorities of the departments, but more importantly, the priorities of the city were met. And I am very proud of the work that has been done. We are proud of the budget that we have brought forward to you, and hopefully you agree that it is a well thought out budget that you can support. Any other comments or questions? Councilmember Holman.
Just a comment. You're to be congratulated on presenting a relatively flat budget. The city of Auburn is now over 80,000 people. We're growing by leaps and bounds. So we're providing services to more people for the same amount of money. That's quite an accomplishment. That's good value. Our citizens are getting good value. But that growth isn't going to stop with this budget. And if we're thinking generationally, what are we going to do in preparation for when we hit 100,000 in, 3 years, 4 years? And it's just food for thought. This is the heart and soul of our city and how we address the needs of those 80,000 citizens.
I've often said that a budget is a moral document, and it definitely includes the important priorities of the city, of the mayor and the city council and the departments. So thank you all for your participation in this. And again, for council members that were not available for all of these sessions, the directors will be available for presentation of their budget portions. Okay, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.